Reclaim Your Throne is here. For those of you that don't know, Reclaim Your Throne, he lost his Twitter account exposing Nala. So make sure you go follow his YouTube and his Twitter because he lost an account exposing this woman. He was the one that got the screenshots of her raising her prices. He was the one who kept tabs to see what she was doing. And now, not only have I been vindicated, but he has also been vindicated.
How's it going? How's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And thank you for providing the receipts on this. I pulled them up from our last live stream. I screenshotted them. But you lost your Twitter account for this.
I did. It's absolutely crazy because I mean I was following the story and I mean I know she had some influence in the social media realm beforehand. So I think, she might have made a call, got me up out of there, but that's fine. I got a new Twitter and I've been able to grow it. So I'm not really tripping off that, but I've seen her kind of resurface and I saw clips from the whatever podcast and her back and forth dispute with Andrew Wilson. And, it just kind of shows that all of this was a grift, in my opinion. It looks like her conversion, like I said before, was contingent on her husband, now husband. And I think it is still going to be contingent on that relationship and how long they go is going to be how long her faith extends.
How long do you see this lasting? Like, what's your prediction?
I mean, it really just depends because I know people are, I think she kind of fell out of the limelight so that he wouldn't get flamed as much because I know people were sending them clips of her old footage. And then she's got a Telegram page out there that's still posting content and selling content. I don't know if it's one of her simps who backlogged everything and still selling it, but the content's still out there, still videos, still pictures everywhere. And I think that, if she keeps putting herself out there as whatever position she's trying to take in the Christian world, the more she puts herself out there, the more her relationship is gonna falter, I believe, because they're gonna keep sending those clips, they're gonna keep sending those pictures, videos, maybe even some that he's already seen that he probably was watching before he got with her. So
Mhm. What do you think's going through his head? Like, why do young Christian men sign up for this?
well, from my understanding, looking at his social media pages, he looks like he's from a rural area. I believe he's in South Carolina or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
Mhm.
He's from a rural area, very small town, and he was making a lot of Christian content on TikTok. And then I think he's just trying to, I think it helps his image to accept the former hoe type thing. I think it kind of helps him in that way because it makes him seem more forgiving, but I also think he just doesn't have that much experience. And he was probably one of her simps lusting after her OnlyFans or one of her social media accounts, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. And then he actually got noticed by her through social media. I think she said she met him on a TikTok live or something like that. And the guy just, I think he just went crazy because to him, that's probably the baddest chick that he's ever been with.
Yeah, and it probably if his audience is women on TikTok, maybe it helped. I could see the brand going a long way because,
Yeah.
then other women will like think that'll happen for them.
Yeah, yeah, but what gets me about this whole situation is the brand shift. The brand shift is what really sticks out to me because you know, late last year she had already gotten baptized and she was still in the business. She ran the OnlyFans up, changing the prices, increasing the prices, all that kind of stuff to get as much money as she could before she quote unquote deleted it. And I don't even think she would have deleted it if there wasn't a social media campaign of pressure to say, hey, you're not doing this the right way. You're doing it actually in reverse. She made that 90-day excuse, but she had the account open past 90 days into the new year. So it's almost like she was trying to play us and make us look like Boo Boo the Fool when we can see everything that she's doing online, and she was still interacting with her fans via DMs and all that kind of stuff until she got exposed and she stopped replying to people's DMs because initially the DM was, I'm not going anywhere. It's just a brand change. I'm still going to have the OnlyFans, whatever. And I think she was even proposing to create some type of ministry on OnlyFans. So that was, to me, it's just a money move. It's a money grab. And now she laid low for a couple months. Now she's trying to reinsert herself back into the conversation. Michael Knowles took the bait and had her on the show. And I think that, one, especially in the like men's space, it hurt his credibility immensely. And I know he's more on the news side of things, but it's just like, how can you even watch the guy the same when he gave her such a softball interview?
And do you think Michael is naive, or do you think he did it because of the clout?
I think he did it because of the clout. I also think that, there are a lot of Christian simps out there, and obviously he's married and all this kind of stuff, and he won't admit it. But I think he was attracted to her. He wanted to be in her presence, and it was also a good way to get the views. So I think it was a combination of of all of that, and the reason why he gave her the softball interview, because she, to him, she's looking good, and he don't want to hurt her feelings, and she's already tearing up, and doing the performative crying. So I think there's a few different reasons why he did the interview, especially in the way that he did, because he could have gave her a more difficult interview. He could have gave her a more direct interview, but it was almost like he believed her story before even interrogating her.
Yeah, I don't think he did any research before.
Nah, there ain't no way.
Yeah, because I couldn't believe it. Oh my gosh. I'm waiting. Do you think I'll get an apology ever? A retraction? Do you think?
Oh
I'm
no,
waiting. They said I wasn't a real
he can't.
Catholic and he was dying on the hill of this corn star. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that maybe there's a retraction. Maybe, you know, I haven't done corn, like, may, but they spent like 10 minutes saying how I wasn't Catholic enough. So
Right?
I'm waiting
Yeah,
for,
he can't.
sorry, go ahead.
He can't walk it back because he took the side of the hose. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? You didn't give her no time the day after, or the day that she did the interview with him, or the day it dropped. That was the day the OnlyFans was deleted. So it was very much strategic, very much planned out. It wasn't on a whim like, oh, I'm waiting for them to approve so I can delete the OnlyFans. No, it was very strategic in the way that they set that whole thing up. I wouldn't even be surprised if they were in cahoots. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Knowles had connections to Creators Inc. because that is the marketing company that she had. I think that's what really got me banned on Twitter is making that link between her and Creators Inc. and the owner of Creators Inc., who I forget his name now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he had connections to the guy who owns Creators Inc. And then they somehow got together in a mutually beneficial situation, because I still think she's under management of Creators Inc. She was doing promos for them. She's still on their website. She's still part of their brand, and I think it was more of a strategic marketing move that in on face value it worked because they got the views, they got the comments, they got all that stuff. But as far as credibility and integrity goes, in upholding the faith, it completely backfired.
Why do you think they give them the benefit of the doubt, the hoes, but they don't give red pill guys the benefit of the doubt? Like whenever there's a clip of Myron saying something like, that they wouldn't like, or a different red pill guy, they will
Mhm.
denounce it, call them degenerates, but they never have that same energy for the hoes.
Yeah, it's because they're simps. The faith, Christianity, unfortunately, it has been taken over by simps who end up being the leadership in the church. And a lot of those guys are sex deprived. A lot of those guys are not being able to fulfill their own desires. So when they see a Myron say, hey, you need to have 35 bodies before you get married, or, when they see, somebody else say, okay, this is how you need to operate with women, and this is what women do, then it upsets them because in their mind, for one, they're simps, so they have a favorable view of women and their actions, and they always give them the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Oh, she was naive. She was tricked into going into the corn industry. She didn't know what she was doing. She's a young woman who doesn't have her agency for herself. She came from a messed up background." Even though, when you look into Nala's background, she came from a great background. She came from a two-parent household. Her parents were God fearing. They tried to rear her in the way that they saw fit, in the way that reflected biblical principles, and she rebelled as a teenager. So it wasn't like she was touched on. It wasn't like she was getting beat up by pops, or stepdaddy came in and did something. It wasn't any of that. It was, this woman is entitled. She rebelled against her parents. And when she rebelled against her parents, and she even told the story about her mom being ashamed of her, she doubled down. She doubled down. And it took for her to get in a relationship with this dude. And he probably suggested, "Hey, I don't like you doing this. And for me to continue, you're gonna have to stop, or turn it down a little bit." And it took for that for her to make any type of change in direction.
My guess is 10 years tops if they build a brand out of it. 'Cause I was looking at, like, Megan Good. That was about how long she could do it. I think they had a 9-year marriage. The top, like, Kim Kardashian, the longest she was married was maybe a decade. But I don't think it'll last
Yeah.
that long, but that's my prediction. Like,
Nah, I give
next
it 5 years max. I don't think it's gonna last long because, for one, OnlyFans is very easy for women. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just lay on your back, and y'all know what they be doing, playing with themselves, whatever. But in order to build a brand off of what she is now, for one, she's gonna have to read extensively theology, biblical theology. She's gonna have to understand the stories in the Bible. She's gonna have to understand the interpretation. She's gonna have to review and redraft her understanding of the Holy Trinity, which I saw she butchered on the whatever podcast. So she's gonna have to acknowledge the deity of Christ, and all this stuff. So she's gonna have to do extensive studying so that she can even speak from a frame of authority in order to build this brand up. So, I mean, I'm not saying she's stupid, but I just don't think she has that bandwidth along with the intelligence to, boom, I'm going to deep dive into my Bible, and I'm not just going to go into the passages that make me feel good and give me butterflies inside. I'm going to go into the passages that are condemning the past actions that I did. I'm going to go into the passages that condemn the type of actions that I'm doing right now. And I don't think she's going to hold herself that accountable. Therefore, in order for her to build a brand off of this, she's going to have to, one, speak a lot and be right most of the time. Otherwise, people who are really in their Bibles are going to check her like they just did on the whatever podcast. And she's not going to like that when people are saying, "You're not a real Christian because you don't understand the Trinity. You're not a real Christian because you didn't acknowledge the deity of Christ. You're not a real Christian." She can't take that type of criticism. She can take, "Oh, you're such a slut, you're such a hoe," because that's who she identifies as. And it was fine with her because, when women get called sluts and hoes, they just double down, and that's why we got the slut walk. So I don't think that she really has that understanding of biblical principles, the stories, the genealogy. I mean, there's so many different things that she's going to have to understand. And I really just don't think that she's going to be able to do that and then build a brand off of it, unless I mean, she was going to have to go dark for way longer and really study, like at least 6 months dedicated, reading the Bible front to back, and really understanding that. So I really don't think that she's going to be able to build a brand off of being the OnlyFans Christian convert. At some point, she's going to have to incorporate the thirst traps again. I'm on my back deck reading my Bible, legs wide open. On my back deck reading my Bible in some booty shorts or something like that. She's going to have to incorporate some form of thirst trapping in order to propel the brand into a monetizable thing. Because other than that, where's she getting the money from? Right? I mean, I don't know if they're paying her to go on these podcasts and stuff, but where are you
well,
going to get the money?
and so what do you think would be a good rite of passage for women that did sex work and want to join a church? Like, I think there has to be some barrier of entry. So, for people that actually want to, change their ways, what would you suggest?
So, like I said before when we spoke, I think that she needs to play the background. If she is going to come out and try and preach biblical principles, she needs her man to be speaking for her, for one. I think that'll clear up a lot of stuff because, the internet trolls, yes, they're going to call him a simp. Yes, they're going to, go after him, but he should be able to handle that onslaught of internet trolling himself. And I think ultimately it's going to tear Nala down. Whereas if he is the one controlling her social media, if he is the one controlling the Twitter, the TikTok, the Instagram, all these different apps, he has to be the head of it. And when she goes in these interviews, for one, he has to be very knowledgeable. And then he also has to speak on her behalf because when it comes from her, it just feels inauthentic. So I think that if she wants to do this, either she plays a background, shut up to never be heard again, and just, have her faith in private. Or if she wants to be in the spotlight, her man is going to have to come step up. He's going to have to tell his story, how he got with her, why he got with her, and why he thinks that he could change her. And then he's also going to have to be knowledgeable from the biblical side as well. And I just don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he, is built to put himself out there like that. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for calling in and keeping these receipts. We appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Go
I'm
ahead.
actually going to go back to my old X page and I'm going to try and find all the tweets and the threads and then
Mhm.
post it on my new page just so people know where it is and they have it. And obviously, I'll exclude, some of the things that got me banned. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild how she is trying to come back into the spotlight and present herself as some authority, which I said she needs to be in the back of the church, in the back of the pulpit, next to the ushers at the door, away from everybody's husband. And that's the role that she needs to play in the church.
Do you have any social media you want to shout out?
Yeah, so you can check me out on X. It is Reclaim D1. You can also check me out on YouTube, hashtag Reclaim Your Throne. And then Instagram is Reclaim Your Throne. Also TikTok, Reclaim Your Throne.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.